What is up, everybody? What is up? Sorry, I had a little technical difficulty. I'm 15 minutes behind. Nonetheless, it always seems to work out that way when you want to do something. It's annoying. It just doesn't work. And then Mike helped me out a little bit. Shout out to Mike. Appreciate it. Um, Nonetheless, I am live. Welcome, everybody, to the first ever Typical Brownz Fan podcast, episode 1. This is exciting news here today. Nonetheless, what we're going to talk about is simple. A little Deshaun Watson, a little Shedeur Sanders, and a little Kevin's fate. What does all that mean? What does all that look like today? First, before I start, I got a big shout out to my sponsor. Yes, I have a sponsor. Shout out to my guy, Marlon from Lego Heads Barber Saloon. Lego Heads Barber Saloon's located at 1344 West Bagley Road in Berea, Ohio. It's right across the street from a Burger King. If you pass the Burger King, you're going too far. It'll be on the right if you're getting off the freeway, and it will be on the left if you're heading toward the freeway. Nonetheless, he is a good person. Not only is he a great barber, but Marlon is a good person. So good that he is starting a food pantry for the people of Berea, those who are people or even the surrounding Berea area. If you are looking for some food, he has some. Or if you're looking to give away some food, he has some. Or you just go there and hook and give him some of that food that you're looking to give away. And he's looking to reach out to the community that way for those that are looking for food or looking to give away some food. Like go there, and then maybe he can hook you up with a haircut. Maybe he can hook you up with a beard trim. He also has beard oil, beard balm, and also he has some merch there that you could probably purchase. Either way, shout out to Marlon and the Lego Heads Barber Saloon for sponsoring this podcast today. Now let's get into it. Let's get into this a little bit. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson first. Mr. Deshaun Watson. He got activated to the 21-day window. The Browns have 21 days to activate him. If not, he goes back into IR and then most likely comes back next year. But my question, this is basically this podcast is a lot to do with what I think. I help run another podcast. It's called the Bearded Browns Podcast. If you're interested in even more Browns content, go there and give us a follow. But we have other guys on there. Sometimes I can't get everything I want to say out. So I figured, let me start this separate podcast so I can have more of a voice, more of something to say. I think the people want to hear me. It's all about me now. I ain't got to listen to Chad over talk me. I ain't got to listen to Mike over talking me. I ain't got to tell no one to be quiet. I'm here. It's going to be a fun show. But today we're going to talk about the return of Watson, Shedeur Sanders' current play, and the fate of Kevin. Yes, we're going to talk about all three of those things. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to try to keep it 3 topics per week. Either way, it's going to be an interesting show, hopefully entertaining at that. First one, the return of Watson. He opens up the 21-day window for him to practice. Now, my question is this. What are the Browns planning on doing with Mr. Deshaun Watson? What do you guys think he is doing with Deshaun Watson, right? What are they going to do? Are they going to play him? Are they not going to play him? It's going to be very interesting what they do here the next 3 weeks. But here's some of my theories. Are they going to run it back with Watson and start him next year and either have Dylan or Shedeur as a backup to develop them? One of them, right? I'm thinking that there's no way you're going to come with Watson, Dylan, Shedeur, and draft another quarterback. There's no way they can do that. Right? I know it's the Browns. They do some crazy stuff. I understand that. I get it. But what about this plan? Does this plan sound appealing to anybody? You bring back Watson and you develop either Shedeur or Dylan, which I think, they would tend to side with Shedeur unless you believe Dylan's girlfriend, and then you think it's Dylan, or fiance. Then you think it's Dylan. So you run it back and you develop, and then here's the important part. Then if you do that, you can develop talent through the draft, because what you do is you put getting your quarterback on hold for at least one more year. And then you can get your receiver, your offensive lineman, more offensive linemen, more receivers, more offensive linemen, more receivers. Basically, stack up on offense because believe it or not, Barry has not been drafting a lot of offense the last couple of years. It's been mainly defense. That's why our defense is stellar. That's why our defense is top 5 in the league, is because they've invested since Barry's been here, it seems like, about defense. And it seems to be working out from the issue is the quarterback. It's always been the quarterback. It's always been an issue with the quarterback here. So, so the first theory is they run it back with Watson. They have either Dylan or Shedeur back up Watson for maybe a half a season and then bring them back in and see how they play, how well they developed. And then you draft talent through the draft, right? You give them receivers. Shedeur looks a little better. Watson may look a little better. And then you have a type of offense where you can win because your defense is somewhat dominant still, hopefully, because not too many times dominant defenses keep going to be dominant. The last couple of years, our defense we've been fortunate with that. Or do you do this? Do you run it back with Watson, but then draft your future quarterback and play Watson while your future quarterback learns? But the problem with that is you have quarterbacks and not enough receivers, not enough offensive linemen. You see, I got someone listening. What's up? Thank you for tuning in from Spain. Yeah, someone on YouTube tuning in from Spain. That's the first international person I've ever seen on my feed. Shout out. What's up, Elizabeth? Either way, I feel, or you can go this route, draft the quarterback, develop this quarterback. Most likely, a lot of people are ruminating, are saying that it's Mendoza that the Browns like. You go that route. Do you run it back with Watson, draft your future quarterback, and you go that route where you slowly mature this guy while Watson plays? Hopefully he runs. Hopefully he plays well enough to win. And you're in that window where your dominant defense is still playing consistently, but your offense is growing into something even better. Growing to something that is winnable, serviceable, right? Now, what I would do, this is just me. I think what the Browns should do is simply go all in on Shedeur Sanders. Just go all in. I know the first couple games, we'll talk into it. We'll talk about it here in a minute. So first couple games, Shedeur Sanders hasn't looked too pleasing. Yeah, I mean, pleasing to the eye, but statistically, he hasn't looked good. It's kind of discouraging if you look at his stats and everything else, and you start to wonder what's going on here with him. But what if you develop him the rest of the year, and then obviously you're going to bring back Watson next year, and you develop Shedeur behind Deshaun Watson. Now they said they've been very, very nice in wording when it comes to Deshaun Watson. The organization is saying Deshaun Watson's doing what he can. He's helping to develop the Shedeur. He's being the perfect citizen in the locker room, the perfect citizen. And he's helping develop Shedeur. He's talking to the quarterbacks. So for me, I would love to see Deshaun Watson come back, play it well enough to keep on winning while Shedeur's developing, because Shedeur's development is very crucial to this franchise. And I will tell you why. Shedeur Sanders, if you can find a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, the franchise can be set up for years to come. Now, his first 2 games, it's not promising, but he's been appealing to me because it seems like the throws that he's been throwing, a couple throws, and one to Fannin last week and the other one against the Raiders to Bond, are really something as a Browns fan I like to see. I want to see more of. I want to see him grow. And I don't like this hurry up, rush him. If he doesn't develop, move on to the next guy type of thing. It's a typical Cleveland Browns culture here. But I will tell you this. Well, a couple of things that do alarm me when it comes to Shedeur is that San Francisco game. The San Francisco game is very telling. See, according to PFF, he held the ball for 3.5 seconds, which is very, very long for a quarterback to hold. Typically, quarterbacks hold the ball. They want to get the ball out in 2.5 seconds. I know Dylan was averaging 2.7 seconds, which is why the offense seemed to be faster when he was in there, though his passes were shorter, and obviously not accurate because obviously that's why he's in starting. So he was holding the ball against the San Francisco 49ers for 3.5 seconds, and the result of that, the 49ers pass rush was able to generate a pass rush 37% of the time. Now that what's you say, oh, so what, Angel? They develop a pass rush. That this is as far as when it comes to sacks and defense, a lower tier defense in the league. And they were generating enough pass rush to get 3 sacks and to mess with Shedeur's head. And it's not all, in my feed all week, I get people saying, "What's the offensive line? The receivers aren't getting open." If you watch the all 22, and if you look at the statistics on PFF and other websites, they would tell you that this offensive line had the best grade this week against the San Francisco 49ers, meaning they gave Shedeur Sanders enough time to throw the ball. Shedeur just wasn't processing it enough. So they were able to generate 37% pressure rate, which was the second highest of the season. And by the way, they're doing it without Nick Bosa, who's their top pass rusher. And they only blitzed one time. They only purposely blitzed one time, and they still generated 37% pass rush against Shedeur because he's holding the ball a little too long. Now, it's concerning for me because he did this in college. Now, I know it's a second game. Ain't just stop being hard on the kid. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm just telling you what I see and what's this discouraging for me. Now, what's encouraging is I feel like he does have a beautiful arm. He does seem to, once he sets and is patient, he does seem to have an accurate ball. But the problem is right now his feet are moving too much and he's thinking too much and he's not processing fast enough. That play to Jerry Jeudy where you threw his head. If you look at the all 22, it was a simple slant route. All he had to do was hit him. He had 3 opportunities to hit him. It's amazing to see once you see the tape. And I hope this is just a couple of things that are concerning. Also in this game, he had 4 turnover-worthy plays. 4 turnover-worthy plays. Dylan, that's what Dylan had in the beginning, the first 3 or 4 games with Dylan, he had no turnovers, but his turnover-worthy plays were like 10. And you just knew sooner or later somebody was going to pick him off, and they did. They did. They started picking him off at a rapid pace because they caught on to him. They caught on to his scheme and how he throws and his cadence and all the other football jargon. Right now, Shedeur Sanders on PFF is being graded as a better screen passer than anything. So he's hitting the screen pass very, very well, but he isn't hitting anything else well. So that's why in the San Francisco game, they opened up with the screen pass to get him comfortable. And then if you look at him in Buffalo, what was he so good at? Screen passes. What people will classify as checkdowns is what he's doing. Everything that we criticize Dylan for doing, he's doing. Outside of the Fannin play and the Bond play and against Vegas, Shedeur is just averaging 6.1 yards per attempt. Dylan Gabriel was averaging 5.4 or 5.1. There's not much difference there when it comes to throwing the ball downfield. Now another encouraging thing that came out this week, Shedeur acknowledges that his struggles are on him. He said, I have to learn to trust my receivers. I have to learn, it's a trust factor here. It's a patience thing. I have some flaws. I need to do this. I need to do that. He's aware that what he is doing. So as a fan who is a fan of Shedeur, I'm encouraged by that. See, the eye test encourages me. He throws a deep pass. So in 6 games, Dylan threw a deep pass 3 times in 6 games for 44 yards, a touchdown, and only 2 completions. Shedeur Sanders is 3 for 7 for 116 yards and a touchdown. That is what I want to see more of. He's good. He has an arm. I when I imagine him playing in Buffalo, I can see him fitting in Kevin's system. It's just something is just not connecting correctly between him and this. And maybe it's the speed of the NFL, which most even NFLers tell you the speed is totally different than college. Shedeur Sanders has, I mean, even when you see him throw the ball, you're like, man, this guy has it. But then you see him hold the ball and then take a sack, and then, or he'll hold the ball and overthrow somebody, or you see him move his feet a little too much. Can he develop into a starter? What can, what I feel he needs to do, what Shedeur needs to do, and a lot of people are going to poo-poo this. What I feel Shedeur needs to be right now is just a game manager. Just take whatever the defense gives you. If it's 5-yard passes, it's 5-yard passes. Just build your confidence with each game that way. Then eventually that downfield shot's going to open up. And by that time, you're comfortable with the receivers you say you're not comfortable with. You're building chemistry. And then boom, you can hit the big play. And then one big play after another big play. You start to build confidence. And I feel like that's how Tom Brady was when he came in the league. They relied heavy on the rush, and he was just a game manager. He made a couple of plays, he started to build confidence, and then he was a grinder. He was a tape junkie. He learned the system in New England. He learned how to watch tape. He learned how to be a better player. And he became one of the greatest through that. I think Shedeur is just trying too hard to be great now when he just needs to learn to learn. So it makes sense why he dropped to the 5th round, because teams seen his footwork. They've seen the fact that he held the ball a little too long. And they've seen the fact of his decision making sometimes sketchy while rush is coming at him. Now, one thing he's done well also, he's not running back much. That was one of my biggest worries with him playing, was him running back, taking 20, 30-yard sacks. Outside of the Vegas game, he didn't do much of that going on in Vegas. He did it once. The Ravens game when he came in the second half, he was horrible doing it, but he didn't do much of that against San Francisco. So he's learning, he's developing that game, and that's encouraging to see a player who can come up and confess that he's messed up and that he's going to get better in certain areas. As if I was a player in the locker room, I would be encouraged by that. I say, if my quarterback is saying he needs to get better, I need to get better for him because I like this dude. He has this thing, something about him that makes people want to follow him, and I'm one of them personally. I think he's going to be. He can. I think he can become a starting quarterback in this league. I don't think. I think most of Shedeur fans think he's going to be like a Tom Brady, or he could be a Tom Brady, but Peyton Manning, whatever. But what I see him right now as, honestly, after watching San Francisco, I thought to myself, if he can just be Brock Purdy, I'll be okay with that. Brock Purdy's efficient. Brock Purdy takes whatever the defense gives him. He's smart. He reads the defense. He knows where to go with the ball. If Shedeur Sanders can be that, I think this team can win many games, win the division finally, and make it to the playoff. And once you get in the playoff, anything can happen. If you can get me a quarterback to take me to the playoffs with this defense, the way it's structured, and by the way, this defense is structured to be good for years with the young talent that they have. Now, there's a little money issue, but if AB stays around, which we're going to talk about later, it seems like AB knows what to do with money. I know who runs a checkbook in that house. That dude, man, he makes magic out of pennies, man. I don't know how he does it, but he's doing it. And he's doing it really well. Now he's working on his draft skills. Good draft this year. A couple of drafts are iffy before then, but I think he's growing. Again, he's young. As I'm said, I got 2 guys that are young, a coach and a GM. Let them grow, and I think he's doing a good job at that. My question to you, though, is will Shedeur have time to develop here? Because the latest talk around the league is that Kevin's going to be fired. And a lot of Browns fans are crazy about this. They're like, yes, fire Kevin. Let's go. And some are even saying like, hey, fire Kevin, but keep AB. AB had a good draft, give him another chance. And I'm all for that. If they go in within the structure of if you fire Kevin, let AB hire the coach, because this is what is my fear. Is that you get rid of Kevin and you find a coach or a GM, they're going to come in and they're going to want their own guy. They're not going to waste any time on a fifth round, regardless of how we feel about Shedeur Sanders. They're not going to waste any time on Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. They're going to get their own guy, especially if we're high in the high enough to get a quarterback. The heck, they'll trade that second pick that we have from Jacksonville, and they'll go up and get their guy because they're hitting the reset button. If you get new GM and new coach, they start over, so they can trade whatever picks they need to get because they see that defense being as good as it is, and they say we just need one quarterback, a receiver, because we got these running backs, and we'll be good, and we got Fanning, a good tight end. So my fear is that if Kevin is gone and AB is gone, Shedeur Sanders and of course Dylan Gabriel gone, then all our Shedeur fans are poop out of luck. But if you keep AB and fire Kevin, AB can have a possibility of hiring a coach and say, hey, listen, because we all know AB believes in Shedeur. You saw the hugs after he won his first game in Vegas. You see him talking on the sideline during the Carolina game, tell him how good he did in the preseason. AB loves Shedeur. He favors him. Understandably so. There's talent there. So AB will have to find somebody who would want to invest in Shedeur and develop him. But if you get rid of Kevin and AB, that might not happen. They're definitely going a different route. The only way that Shedeur stays, in my opinion, is if Kevin stays. Because Kevin and Shedeur are working together right now. He's developing him. He already told everybody we do this hungry dogs thing where everyone comes in early and we hit the tape and we talk and we do all these things to develop these players. He's been doing that all season. So if you get rid of Kevin and AB, there's no way in heck Shedeur Sanders is going to be sticking around. No way. And that's for me as a Browns fan, that's what worries me is that I get that Kevin has some struggles and I get his offense has sucked the last 2 years. But is it because that we don't have a quarterback that run an offense in which he wants to run it efficiently, consistently? That's my concern. Sometimes I talk myself in of having Kevin and out of wanting Kevin as my coach because I can see some plus sides and I can talk myself into like, well, he really hasn't had a chance. I mean, the Deshaun Watson thing really screwed him up. And they really haven't drafted any talent on offense. You could see that during the special teams debacle. Like their talent is depleted. But then I talk to myself, well, Sunday, that game was horrible. The offense is dead last every year the last couple of years. They're not generating any points. And this is the guy that supposedly is a mastermind behind this whole thing. It's concerning for sure. So if they go move on for Kevin, I totally get it. And I understand. I actually think Kevin may land a job somewhere else and he may be successful. And we may be sitting here in 3 to 5 years saying, well, he was in our building. We had Kevin. We gave up on him. Now he's winning championships somewhere else. I mean, I often think of Andy Reid and how he never won the big one until he left and went to Kansas City and found the right quarterback and developed him to be the guy that they want. And the beautiful thing about Patty is now he's being developed into a different type of quarterback. He's adjusting because he's getting older. He can't do the things that he was once was doing when he was younger. Once you find that coach and quarterback companionship, man, it is crazy. And that's why Pittsburgh wants Tomlin out. Not because he isn't a good coach. Well, they don't think he's a good coach. I think he's a great coach. The only issue is they haven't drafted a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. He hasn't developed a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. McDermott is in Buffalo. Why? because he had developed a good quarterback in Josh Allen, and they win. Now there comes a time where you win too much and you don't win the big game, they're gonna have to move on from you. But and that's where Tomlin is now, where you win games, but you don't win playoff games. You can track it back to the fact that there is no quarterback there. None. Have we I'm sorry, not we, because we're not in charge. Has the organization confidently enough give Kevin a good quarterback outside of Baker? They thought they did with Watson, but there's something that happened there where they just weren't clicking together. They thought they had something going there, but it didn't work out. Whether through injury or whether through chemistry or not liking each other, who knows? So that's how I talk myself back into Kevin. I say, well, if they can get him like a quarterback like Mendoza, who's very smart and he knows where to go with the ball, maybe in this system, because you watch the all 22 receivers are getting open, they're just not hitting the receivers. And I start talking myself into maybe Kevin can be good. But then I say, well, it's just they're still playing hard for him. So it's not like they don't like him. But it's just not something's just not registering in the field. And I can always go back. I always point back to the quarterback. This is why giving up on Shedeur to me will be silly right now. You let him play this year and you give him some chance next year to see what he in year two, what he became, what he's become in the offseason and what he can become in season number two. And you build through the draft talent to put around him. And if he's not good enough then guess what? You do what you need to do to get your quarterback because you already have your offensive line. You already have your weapons. The only thing he's missing is a quarterback to drive the car. That's just my take on it. I don't know if people are going to agree on it or disagree, but I get a lot of flack on social media because people think I don't like Shedeur because I'm very critical of people I like. And matter of fact, here's the deal. I'm not a Shedeur fan. I'm not a Dylan fan. I'm not even a Myles Garrett fan. I'm a Browns fan. I'm just a fan of the players that wear the uniform. My allegiance isn't to anyone other than the brown and orange, unfortunately. That's why there's no emotion there. I don't wear people's jerseys or people's names on my shirt. I just wear the brown helmet because that's where my allegiance is. Players come and go. People get heartbroken when do that when that happens. Me, my team's always the same because it's the same color. It's a sad way of thinking. I get it. Yeah, 100%. It's depressing. I root for the players that are wearing my team's colors. Once they're gone, next man up. So right now, I'm a Shedeur fan. I want him to succeed. But at the same time, I'm going to be truthful in my analysis of him. And I think it's misconstrued that when you do that, you don't like a guy or you're a certain thing, R word. You're not. You're just a fan of a team and you want that player to play better than what he is because you know what he can do. Well, that's it. That's all I have for you today. That's it. 3 topics, 3 quick topics. My first ever Typical Brownz Fan podcast, episode 1. Watson, what's going to happen with him? We're going to see, right? We're going to see if they have 21 days to activate him. If not, he's going back to the IR. And then I think we're going to see him next year. I think they're going to try to see what they have in him next year. My plan, I hope that's my plan. I hope they go in thinking he's going to be the veteran. He's going to coach up Shedeur, teach Shedeur to be the future. And it's going to work out where, he rides off into the sunset and Shedeur comes in and takes the keys of the car and execute way better than what he has. Now, I'm excited to see what happens these next couple of weeks. I'm hoping Shedeur develops into something special so we can keep him here. And I think that's the only thing that will convince this organization is if they see improvement each week in Shedeur. And we as Browns fans, we can't be blinded just by the name on the jersey. We have to be honest with ourselves and look at the game, look at his game for what it's worth. And hopefully against Tennessee, pretty bad defense. Actually, their defense the last 3 games have been pretty good. Pretty good. A lot of people are writing off the Tennessee Titans. Me, I'm a Browns fan. I know what happens to Browns fans once you start checking the W on the game before the game starts. You end up getting disappointed. So for me, I'm cautiously optimistic watching on Sunday's game, hoping Shedeur plays well enough where I can come back on podcast Tuesday with my two homies on the Bearded Browns podcast and we can talk about a victory. If not, we're going to break it down and we're going to tell you the truth because that's how we roll here at the Bearded Browns podcast. Either way, the Typical Brownz Fan podcast episode 1. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the comments and the chats. I'll get better at bringing those up. This is my first one. Just wanted to get this out. Let's be patient with Shedeur. Let's be patient with the organization. Let's see how Kevin can develop Shedeur. If not, then guess what? I think Kevin's gone, unfortunately. I like Kevin a lot, but we'll see. Well, I'll tune in next week for episode 2 of the Typical Brownz podcast. Until next time, like always, go Browns.